السلام عليكم ورحمة الله إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. My dear little children, I welcome you back to the story of Sayyidina Dawood and Sulaiman alayhi salam. This amazing journey with all of the miracles and the beautiful stories. And today inshallah I'm going to talk about the appointment of King Talut upon Bani Israel. Tonight is the night of the 24th of Muharram, 1445 years after the Hijrah, or migration of our beloved Prophet ﷺ, which coincides with August 11, 2023. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah As-Sad, verse number 86, قُلْ مَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ مِنْ أَجْرٍ. Say, O Muhammad, no wage do I ask for you for this Quran. Meaning, for calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I am not asking you to give me any reward. I don't ask anything from you. وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُتَكَلِّفِينَ. Nor am I amongst from the mutakallifun. Nor am I from the mutakallifun. Who are the mutakallifun? Those who pretend and fabricate things. Those who lie about things which is not, Allah didn't reveal. Meaning the Prophet ﷺ is saying this message is the message of truth. And I do not pretend to say anything that I don't know. And this is a very important lesson for us, all the Muslims, to remember that when we are declaring the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it is the stories of the prophets, whether it is the aqidah or the belief of the Muslims, or whether it is how to teach the prayer, everything has to be from Allah. We must verify. We cannot say something and we are not sure about it. Then we will be one of the mutakallifin, from the mutakallifun, meaning those who pretend to say things which are fabricated, which are actually not correct, which are fabricated, which are lies. And this is very important, especially when we are talking about the stories of the prophets or the stories in the Quran, that anything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't mention, we should not add it from ourselves. We already mentioned to you, the sources of the religion is two: the Quran and the Sunnah, the authentic Sunnah. Any other third source is rejected. Any other third source is unverified. When we take information from the unverified sources and we pretend to this is from Allah, this is when we will become from the mutakallifun. And the Prophet ﷺ was commanded by Allah to preach the people to know that he is not from the mutakallifun. If we are the followers of Muhammad ﷺ, our Prophet, we cannot pretend, or we cannot make up a story, or we cannot make up a part of the story that Allah didn't reveal, but we say this is what it is. And inshallah, when we keep this lesson in mind and we discuss the story of the prophets, we would be able to be truthful and stay truthful while discussing this story or telling this story. Bani Israel, as we mentioned to you before, are the children of Israel, and Israel is one of the children of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. There is nothing authentic to say who was Israel. However, there are some narrations which are not really authentic, weak narrations. It says that Prophet Yaqub is Israel alayhi salam. And as I mentioned to you before, that all of the scholars, they agree that it is Yaqub alayhi salam. Allah knows best. But Israel or Bani Israel means the children of Israel. Allah Ta'ala says about their story at a portion of the history of their story. Allah says, أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الْمَلَإِ مِنْ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ مِنْ بَعْدِ مُوسَى. Have you not thought or have you not seen the group of the children of Israel after Musa? Mala, here, Mala means the like noble people, the people who are of authority. The people of authority from Bani Israel, min ba'di Musa, after Musa. So now we know that this story happened exactly after Musa alayhi salam. Now when exactly we do not know, but after Prophet Musa alayhi salam. إِذْ قَالُوا لِنَبِيٍّ لَهُ مُبْعَثْ لَنَا مَلِكًا. When they say to their prophet, who was this prophet? Allah doesn't mention the name. Ask Allah to send us a king, appoint us a king, nuqatil fi sabilillah, so that we can fight in the path of Allah. The prophet, their prophet, whoever this prophet was, alayhi salam, he said, قَالَ هَلْ عَسَيْتُمْ إِن كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالِ. Allah, he said, the prophet said, would you disobey if the fighting will be prescribed for you? Will you then say that I'm not going to fight? هل عسيتم إن كتب عليكم القتال ألا تقاتلوا, that you will not fight? When the fighting will be prescribed, will you then back off? This is basically what the prophet is asking them, teaching them that you are saying we want to fight in the path of Allah, but hey, when Allah will prescribe to you, would you be able to do it? قالوا, they said, وما لنا ألا نقاتل في سبيل الله. They said, why wouldn't we fight in the path of Allah? وَقَدْ أُخْرِجْنَا مِنْ دِيَارِنَا, because we have been kicked out from our home. وَأَبْنَائِنَا, and our children have been kicked out from their home. فَلَمَّا كُتِبَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقِتَالُ, but when the fighting was prescribed to them, تَوَلَّوْا, all of them, they backed off. إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِنْهُمْ, except very few amongst them. Wallahu alimun bi-dhalimin, and Allah knows, or Allah has the knowledge of who are the transgressors. So Allah Ta'ala is saying that Allah already knows amongst these great group of people from the Mala'im Bani Israel who are coming and saying, appoint us a king, we are going to fight in the path of Allah and all that. Allah knows who are the dhalim, the transgressors. So Allah doesn't need to test them to figure this out. He is not like us. His ilm covers everything. But this is the sunnah of Allah. Allah tested them and it became clear who were the transgressor and who were the obedient ones. These people, this qaleel, very small amount of people who agreed to continue to fight when the fighting was prescribed for them, from them was Sayyidina Dawood alayhi salam. Now this ayah doesn't mention that, but the story is coming later on. But that's one of the reasons we are discussing this story, because this is where the story of Dawood alayhi salam starts in the Quran. Okay? From the appointment of King Talut. Now, who was this Nabi? If you go to the books of the stories or the books of the history or books of the tafsir, some of the scholars, they said it is Saul, or in English Samuel, or Samun or Samuel. And in some of the scholars they said it is Yusha bin Nun. Is there any proof to say he is this or he is that? There is no authentic proof. There is no authentic proof. And remember, Allah Ta'ala told the Prophet ﷺ in Surah Ghafir, وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلًا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ, we have sent messengers before you, مِنْهُمْ مَنْ قَصَصْنَا عَلَيْكَ, from them, from these messengers, so for some of them we told you their story, وَمِنْهُمْ لَمْ نَقْصُصْ عَلَيْكَ, and from amongst them we didn't tell their stories to you. So Allah is telling the Prophet, you are knowledgeable of very little amount of information. And this is something mentioned in the Quran, وَمَا أُوتِيتُ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا, you have been given knowledge but very little. This very little knowledge, we have to keep ourselves confined in it. So who is this Prophet? We do not know. Allah didn't mention the name. And remember, the Prophet was commanded not to be from the mutakallifun, pretend. So we cannot come and say this king was this Prophet, his name was Samuel, or this or that. We cannot say this unless it is clear in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet. So if somebody asks us, who is this Prophet? We say, I do not know. Allah knows. Allah didn't tell us. The Prophet didn't make it clear. That's it. We do not need to go into these discussions. Then the next ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah Ta'ala says, وَقَالَ لَهُمْ نَبِيُّهُمْ, and their prophet, again this prophet, we do not know his name, their prophet told them, إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ بَعَثَ لَكُمْ طَالُوتَ مَلِكًا, Allah has appointed Talut as your king. So the prophet is saying, this is not my choice. This is a decision from Allah. And now it will show you that who these Bani Israel people were. Not all of them were like that, but many of them were absolutely always disputing. Allah would reveal something They would want it. Allah reveal it. Allah revealed them and say, why? Why I have to do this? Well, you asked for it. Remember, they asked for a king. And their prophet is saying, Allah has appointed for you a king. Now look at their answer. قالوا أَنَّا يَكُونُ لَهُ الْمُلْكُ عَلَيْنَا وَنَحْنُ أَحَقُّ بِالْمُلْكِ مِنْهُ. They said, how can he be king over us when we are better fitted than him? This is exactly like the methodology or the manhaj of Iblis. أَنَا خَيْرًا مِنْهُ. I am better than him. خَلَقْتَهُ مِنْ طِينٍ خَلَقْتَنِي مِنْ نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِنْ طِينٍ. Right? You created me from fire and you created him from mud. I'm better than him. These people, of course, all of them are made from mud. So they could not say I'm better than him from that angle, but they said we are better than him and he doesn't deserve to be our king. And they forgot that Allah is the one who appointed them this king. And this is the lesson we learn, because many people, they come and say, why do I have to pray 5 times a day? Why do I have to wear hijab? I'm already good. Don't say this, because that shows that you are not good. Why? Because you are challenging Allah. You are saying he's not smart, he's not wise. He's telling me to cover, I'm already better. I don't have to wear hijab. He's telling me to pray 5 times a day, I'm already good. In fact, I know some Muslims who pray 5 times a day and they're liars. They have this big beard but they cheat people. And I know some women, they wear hijab but they're nasty. They come to the masjid and they always make ghibah of people. They have a very bad manner. They whenever see us, they make their face. Yes, that's bad. That's bad. If a Muslim who has beard and is lying and cheating, a woman who wears hijab and she doesn't have good manner, this is bad. But you cannot accuse her hijab for this. You cannot accuse the prayer, because the prayer and the hijab is not the reason that she is bad. She is bad or he is bad because he's not obeying or she's not obeying Allah in those matters where they're supposed to obey. They're not supposed to make the ghibah. They're not supposed to cheat. They're not supposed to backbite. So some people, they come and they boastfully say, I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that, and they know that Allah has revealed this thing. Allah has not this bearded person who is coming and telling you to pray 5 times a day because he decided it. Not this woman who covers herself, she comes and tells you to cover because she decided that. Allah decided. Your dealing is with Allah. And this is methodology we see in the Quran, this Iblisi methodology that you see from the Bani Israel. They're challenging Allah. They are not saying he doesn't, clearly, but they're just saying he cannot be our king. Then they give the reason. وَلَمْ يُؤْتَ سَعَةً مِنَ الْمَالِ, because he has not been given enough wealth. As if Allah doesn't know who doesn't deserve to be their king. Now, the Prophet teaches them, قَالَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ اصْطَفَاهُ عَلَيْكُمْ. See, he didn't say, no, but you know, he doesn't have that much, you have this much, but he didn't say any of that. He said, but Allah has chosen you over him. Okay, he doesn't have wealth, who cares? Allah chose him over you. وَزَادَهُ بَسْطَةً فِي الْعِلْمِ وَالْجِسْمِ. And Allah has given him, Allah increased him abundantly in knowledge. He spoke first about knowledge. And in jism, meaning his strength in body. And these are the two very beautiful combination. If somebody is strong in body, but he doesn't have ilm, he is going to be safi, stupid, foolish. He's going to go and kill and do these things and that things because he's strong. And some of these people, those who want to be strong and they work hard and they work out, what do you see them? After they work out, they do foolish things. They post themselves in the internet and trying to woo the people in the wrong way and expose their body. And this shows that they don't have ilm, knowledge. Because if they had ilm, they would use their strength to worship Allah and to do good things. But they don't do that. So the strength of the body is a ni'mah from Allah, but is not enough. And then there are people who have ilm, but they don't have strength. They're weak. But at least they're better than these people. But when we have a combination of both, this is the best. And one of the reasons Allah chose King Talut to be their king is this reason. That he had the ilm of Sharia, the ilm of fighting, the knowledge of, to be a warrior and to rule the people, and he had strength. strength to establish the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu yu'ti mulkahu man yasha. Then the Prophet teaches them, Allah gives the mulk to whoever He wishes. You cannot decide that. Just in America a few years ago, when somebody was appointed president, people were saying, we cannot even believe that he could be the president of the United States. Well, you can, but Allah decided that. He can decide the kingdom to be given to whoever He wishes. So when we are obedient to Allah, Allah will appoint us good kings, good presidents, good leaders, inshallah ta'ala. Wallahu wasi'un alim. And Allah is all sufficient for His creatures, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all knowing. Some of the description says Talut, he was from the children of Binyamin ibn Yaqub. Is there any proof who was his father and what is his exact lineage? We do not know, but we know for sure that he is from the Bani Israel, because he was appointed as their king. So he was from the children of Ibrahim alayhi salam, from the children of Yaqub alayhi salam, but exactly from which lineage we do not know. And some of the description also says that he was a tanner or he was a water carrier. So he had a low status in the society. Allahu alam, what was his profession? Allah doesn't tell us any of that, so we should not be from the mutakallifun. Mutakallifun are those who are not satisfied with what Allah has revealed in the Quran. And as I told you, then they go for the third, fourth and fifth sources to gather more information to make the story look more palatable to people. And they add these informations in the story. We do not need to add these things. If somebody asks us who is Talut, we say that it is enough that Allah told us that he was strong in knowledge and strong in body, and he was fit to be appointed as a king for one of the most prestigious generation, the generation of Bani Israel, the children of Israel. Here it's important to know that when we hear the word Bani Israel, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Bani Israel, Allah chose them over the mankind, and Allah sent them so many prophets and messengers. And amongst them there were people who were righteous, and their number was less, and amongst them there were people who were unrighteous. These people, they were Muslims, like us. They were the followers of the prophets and messengers, like the way we are the followers of the prophets and messengers, including the last one, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our prophet and messenger, the last prophet and messenger. So they were Muslims, but amongst them they were, like as you can see, disputing. How many people they come to the masjid and dispute? When they hear the sunnah, they don't like to change, they dispute. This dispute has to stop. We have to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Allah ta'ala says, the best way is to do what? Sami'na wa ata'na. Listen and obey. Allah decided for you to pray 5 times a day, stick with it. If you are a woman, if you are a girl, and you are of that age, Allah has decided you to cover when you go out or in front of the men who are not your mahram, you should obey. Don't just make it wear a scarf and pretend that this is a hijab. A scarf is not hijab. Hijab is to cover everything. The only thing that you can show is your hands and your face. And when you show your face, it cannot have any makeup when you go out. It cannot have any makeup. So these are the only 2 things that you can show. You should cover your whole body with a jilbab, a loose jilbab, and the hair and the bosom and the neck and everything should be covered with a khimar, long khimar. And this is the Islamic hijab. And Islam doesn't stop with just hijab and prayer, but everything that is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we have to respect, we have to obey. Sami'na wa ata'na, we listen and we obey. And these are the lessons we learn from the stories of the prophets and the messengers. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.